Okay, so picture this. You're huddled around a Christmas tree, but instead of those twinkly lights we all know and love, it's lit by like 80 candles.
80 candles.
Yeah, 80 candle. It sounds kind of magical, right?
Oh, definitely magical, but also probably a little bit terrifying.
Yeah, maybe not the best idea of fire hazard much.
Yeah, I can just imagine.
Well, that's how it all started. And in this deep dive, we're going way back exploring the sometimes surprising history of Christmas decor.
You know, I think a lot of people would be surprised to learn just how far back some of these traditions go.
Absolutely. Like we're talking way before LED lights and plastic Santas, right back to the origins of the Christmas tree itself.
And even beyond that, those early Christmas trees actually have roots in pre-Christian traditions. Who knew?
Wow, so it's not just a Christian thing then.
Nope, not at all. Those ancient cultures in Europe, they used evergreen boughs and even whole trees in their winter solstice celebrations.
Hmm, interesting. So what did those evergreens symbolize for them?
Well, they represented life and hope during those darkest days of winter, when everything else seems to be dying or dormant.
I can see that it's like a reminder that spring will come again, even when it's cold and dark outside.
Exactly. And that symbolism, it carried over into early Christian Germany as well, but they gave it a whole new meaning.
Oh, really? So how did those early Christians incorporate evergreens into their celebrations?
Well, they called them paradise trees.
Paradise trees.
Yeah, and they used them to symbolize the Garden of Eden.
So the ornaments started with apples.
They did. They'd hang apples on those trees to represent the forbidden fruit, and they also connected these paradise trees to the feast day of Adam and Eve.
Oh, and when was that celebrated?
Back then, it was on December 24th.
So already tied into the Christmas season.
Right, so the tradition was already pretty well established in religious celebrations by that point, but it gets even more interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears. What happened?
Well, you can imagine having a symbol of paradise right there in your home was a pretty appealing idea.
I bet.
And so it caught on like wildfire. People loved it so much that it got a little out of hand.
Oh, no, what do you mean?
They started cutting down so many trees that they actually had to put laws in place to prevent overcutting.
Seriously.
Yeah, in some areas, families were even limited to just one tree per household.
Wow, talk about a Christmas craze.
It really was. And then, of course, there's the story of Martin Luther and that starry night.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't he the one who first put candles on the Christmas tree?
Well, that particular story might be more legend than fact, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
true that Martin Luther lived during a time when Christmas trees were already a thing, and he may very well have popularized the idea of adding candles to them.
I can see why. Candles on a
that's-
tree, such a magical image. And who doesn't love candlelight?
Right. But of course, we all know how that candle situation eventually turned out.
Yeah, not exactly the safest tradition, but hey, at least they were thinking ahead with the whole fire hazard thing by limiting the number of trees people could chop down.
True that. But we can't talk about Christmas trees without mentioning royalty and their role in spreading this festive phenomenon.
Oh, yes, royalty always has to make an appearance. So which royal is responsible for bringing the Christmas tree tradition to England?
That would be Queen Charlotte.
Queen Charlotte.
Yep, she was originally from Germany, and when she came to England, she brought a lot of her German traditions with her, including the Christmas tree.
Ah, that makes sense. And I bet once the royals started doing it, everyone wanted to follow suit.
Exactly. She introduced it to the English royal residences in the 1700s, and you know how it is trends start at the top.
Oh, yeah, and then it trickles down to the rest of us.
Precisely. And then you have Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. They really cemented the Christmas tree's place in holiday traditions.
Oh, yeah, they were like the ultimate Christmas power couple.
Right. There was this famous engraving of them celebrating with their beautifully decorated tree in the 1840s, and that image, it was everywhere.
I bet it was like the Christmas card that went viral back then.
Basically. And it sparked a Christmas tree frenzy across England and beyond.
Amazing how a single image can have such a huge cultural impact.
It really is. And speaking of beyond, how do you think this Christmas craze made its way across the Atlantic?
Well, I'm guessing those German and European immigrants had something to do with it.
You got it. They brought the tradition with them to North America in the late 1700s.
Makes sense. They were probably homesick and yearning for those familiar holiday customs.
That's exactly it. And it resonated with others, too. It wasn't long before the Christmas tree became a beloved tradition all over North America.
It's amazing how quickly it spread like wildfire. And then eventually it even reached the highest office in the land.
You're talking about the first White House Christmas tree.
1856, that was the year, right?
That's right, but the national Christmas tree tradition, that's a whole other story.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that one.
Well, that tradition began on the White House lawn in 1923. And it was actually the brainchild of a White House assistant who was connected to the electric industry.
Interesting. So what was his angle?
He saw an opportunity to promote the safety and wonder of electric lights. And what better way to do that than with a giant illuminated Christmas tree?
I love it. It's like the ultimate Christmas marketing campaign.
Right. Use the magic of the holidays to promote a new technology. Brilliant.
Talk about thinking outside the box.
And speaking of iconic trees, we can't forget about the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree.
Oh, yes, the granddaddy of them all. That towering symbol of the holidays in New York City.
A tradition that began during the Great Depression in 1931.
Wow, so it's almost a century old.
It is. The very first tree was actually put up by construction workers who were working on the Rockefeller Center project.
Really?
It was a symbol of hope and resilience during a really tough time.
Makes sense. Everyone needed a little bit of Christmas cheer during those years.
Definitely. But let's be honest, a lot of those picture-perfect Christmas trees we see today, especially those massive ones, they're not exactly what they seem, are they?
You're right. They're not all real trees anymore, are they?
Nope. The invention of the artificial tree really changed the way we celebrate Christmas, and the story behind that invention is pretty fascinating.
Oh, I bet. Okay, spill the tea. Who invented the artificial Christmas tree?
Well, it all started with a World War II veteran named Cy Spiegel.
A World War II veteran.
Yeah.
This is getting good. Tell me more.
Spiegel had quite a life before he ended up revolutionizing Christmas in the 1960s.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What did he do during the war?
Well, he was a pilot, and he even survived a bombing raid over Berlin where his plane was shot down.
Wow, that's incredible. He must have been one tough cookie.
He was, and after the war, he ended up working for a company that made artificial Christmas trees.
Wait a minute, they had artificial Christmas trees back then?
They did, but they weren't the kind we're used to seeing today. These were made out of brushes.
Brush trees. I've never heard of such a thing.
They weren't pretty. Let's just say that Spiegel was actually sent to shut down the whole operation.
Oh, no. So how did he end up revolutionizing the artificial Christmas tree industry?
Well, when he saw those brush trees, he had a light bulb moment.
He did?
Yeah, he realized they had potential, but they needed a serious makeover.
Yeah, he saw something in those brush trees that no one else did.
So what did he do?
He convinced his bosses to let him redesign them. He was like, give me a chance. I can make these things beautiful.
Haha. I love it. So how did he go about transforming these brush trees?
He used real trees as his inspiration, studying their shapes and branches, and he figured out how to make those artificial trees look more realistic.
That's so cool. So he's basically the reason we have all those artificial trees today.
He's definitely the pioneer of the industry. His work led to the mass production and popularity of artificial trees we see everywhere today.
It's amazing to think about how one person's vision can have such a lasting impact.
It really is. But let's not forget about those ornaments that adorn our trees, real or artificial. Their history is just as fascinating.
Oh, yeah. Those ornaments, they really make the tree come alive, don't they? I've always been especially drawn to those delicate glass ones.
Me too. They have such a magical quality to them. They do. It's like they hold all these memories and stories from Christmases past.
And they do have a long history dating back to 16th century Germany.
No way.
Yeah.
So those glass ornaments have been around for centuries.
They have, it all started with a skilled glassblower named Hans Greiner. He's the one who gets credit for crafting the very first glass ornaments.
Wow. Hans Greiner, the OG ornament maker. Did he make anything else besides those glass ornaments?
He did. He also created tin ornaments and those beautiful glass bead garlands that people used to decorate their homes with.
Oh, yeah. Those garlands are so classic. I love the vintage look they bring to a tree.
They really are timeless. And the Greiner family, they kept the ornament-making tradition going for generations.
That's so cool. It's like a family legacy passed down through the years.
It is. And in the 1840s, another Hans Greiner, a descendant of the original, decided to shake things up a bit.
Oh, really? What did he do?
He started creating ornaments in all sorts of new and exciting shapes, moving beyond the simple round baubles that were popular at the time.
So he's the reason we have all those fun and whimsical ornament designs today.
Exactly. He gave us Santas and snowmen stars and angels and everything in between.
It's amazing how these traditions evolved over time.
It is, but those beautiful German ornaments, they might have stayed a European thing if it wasn't for a certain savvy businessman.
Ooh, a businessman. Who are we talking about?
His name is Frank Winfield Woolworth. Does that ring a bell?
Woolworth, the department store guy.
The one and only he had a real knack for spotting trends and making things accessible to everyone.
Ah, so he's the one who brought those German ornaments to the masses.
You got it. In the 1880s, he started importing those ornaments from Germany and selling them in his stores.
I bet they were a huge hit.
People loved them. Suddenly everyone could add a touch of that European elegance to their own Christmas trees.
It's like he democratized Christmas decor.
I like that democratized Christmas decor, but we can't forget about those early Christmas trees lit with real candles.
Oh yeah, that's right. They didn't have those fancy electric lights back then.
Nope. And as pretty as those candlelit trees might have looked, they were a major fire hazard.
Yeah, can you imagine having dozens of open flames on a dried out tree? Yikes.
It's a recipe for disaster. Countless house fires and tragedies happen because of those candles.
It's crazy to think about now with our modern safety standards.
I know, right? And even after electric lights were invented, some people were still hesitant to use them on their trees.
Really? Why is that?
They were worried that the electric lights could also start fires, which wasn't entirely unfounded in the early days of electrical technology.
Yeah, that makes sense. Those early electrical systems weren't exactly known for their safety.
Right, but then a true pioneer came along and changed everything. His name was Edward Hibbert Johnson.
Edward Hibbert Johnson, that name sounds familiar.
Well, he was an associate of Thomas Edison,
Oh, wow, the Thomas
the
Edison.
one and only.
So what did Johnson do?
He had this vision of using Edison's newly invented light bulb to create a safer, more dazzling way to illuminate Christmas trees.
I see where this is going.
And in 1882, he unveiled the first electrically illuminated Christmas tree.
Where did he showcase this masterpiece?
At his own home, he even invited a journalist to come and see it.
Talk about a holiday PR stunt.
He knew how to get people's attention.
So was this the beginning of the electric Christmas light craze?
Pretty much, those early lights were expensive. Of course, not everyone could afford them.
Yeah, I bet they were a luxury item back then.
They were, but Johnson kept refining his design and showcasing his increasingly elaborate light displays to the press each year.
Smart move. Keep those Christmas lights in the public eye.
Exactly. And eventually, as technology improved and production costs went down, electric Christmas lights became more affordable and a much safer alternative to candles.
Thank goodness for that. Can you imagine Christmas without those twinkling lights?
It just wouldn't be the same, would it?
Not at all. Those lights really do add a magical touch to the holidays.
They do, and it's all thanks to Edward Hibbert Johnson, the unsung hero of Christmas lights.
He deserves a special shout out for sure. He made Christmas a whole lot brighter and safer for everyone.
Absolutely. And it just goes to show how these traditions evolved over time, from those risky candlelit trees to the dazzling electric displays we have today.
It's incredible to think about how far we've come and how much creativity and ingenuity has gone into creating these holiday traditions.
It really is. It's a testament to the human spirit,
Yeah.
our desire to make the holidays brighter, more beautiful, and yes, even safer.
Yeah, it really makes you appreciate those twinkling lights even more.
It does. And it's not just about the lights. It's about all those decorations, those traditions that we've been talking about.
Absolutely. From those early paradise trees with their apples to the elaborate ornaments and those twinkling electric lights, it's all part of what makes Christmas so special.
It is. And it's a story that's still being written. Who knows what the future holds for Christmas decor?
That's a good question. What do you think Christmas will look like 100 years from now?
100 years from now. Well, I'm no fortune teller, but I bet we'll see some pretty wild innovations. Maybe holographic trees or self-decorating ornaments.
Ooh, holographic trees. Now that would be something. Imagine a tree that could change colors and patterns.
Right, or project different scenes and images. It would be like having a whole Christmas world right there in your living room.
I love it. And self-decorating ornaments that would save a lot of time and effort.
It would, although I have to admit there's something kind of satisfying about decorating the tree by hand, carefully placing each ornament just so.
I agree. It's a ritual, it's a tradition, and it's something that brings families together.
Exactly. And no matter how technology changes things, I think that sense of tradition and togetherness, that's what will always be at the heart of Christmas.
I think you're right. Those traditions, they connect us to the past, and they create memories that last a lifetime.
And they remind us of what's really important during the holidays, spending time with loved ones and celebrating the season.
It's not about the stuff, it's about the people.
Exactly. And I hope this deep dive has given everyone a new appreciation for those cherished decorations and the stories behind them.
Me too.
Oh.
I'll never look at my ornaments the same way again.
Right. Each one has its own little piece of history, its own connection to the past.
It's like they're little time capsules filled with memories.
They are. So the next time you're unpacking those boxes of decorations, take a moment to really look at those ornaments, think about where they came from and the people who might have treasured them before you.
That's such a great point. It's like holding a piece of history in your hands.
It is, and it's a reminder that these traditions, they've been passed down through generations, and now it's our turn to keep them alive.
And what about you? Do you have any favorite Christmas decorations with special memories attached to them?
I do actually. There's this one ornament that's been in my family for ages. It's a little wooden angel with a chipped wing and a faded paint job.
Ah, that's sweet. It sounds beautiful.
It's not the fanciest ornament,
Yeah.
but it's the one I always look for first when I'm decorating the tree.
Why is that?
It reminds me of my grandmother. She's the one who gave it to me when I was a little kid.
That's so special. It's like a little piece of her is still with you every Christmas.
It is, and it makes me think of all the wonderful Christmases we spend together.
Those memories are priceless.
They are, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Creating those memories and traditions that we can cherish for years to come.
Absolutely. And what better way to do that than by gathering around a beautifully decorated Christmas tree surrounded by loved ones?
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, from all of us here at the Deep Dive, we want to wish you a very happy holiday season filled with joy, laughter, and of course, lots of beautiful decorations.
And don't forget to share your own Christmas decor stories with us. We'd love to hear about your favorite ornaments and the memories they hold.
Until next time, happy decorating, everyone.